Nice to see you back, guys. Once again I am back with a new JavaScript animation project. And today in this project we are going to build circular navigation menu. In this project we are going to create this circular menu toggle effect. This beautiful toggle effect. As you can see, when I click on this toggle button, those 6 circular links appear and it plays around the toggle button. And if I click it again, those items go behind the toggle button and hide itself. To create this effect, we will use little bit of JavaScript. So without wasting your time, let's start the practical and see how we can create this beautiful toggle menu. Before we start our practical, let me introduce you something. It is the most complete course about CSS on Udemy. And this course is divided by 16 different sections. From starting to fundamentals, we cover advanced CSS functions, variables, selector, advanced CSS fundamentals, animation, grid, and many. It is the most complete course about CSS. It's come with more than 31 plus hour contents and 201 plus downloadable resources. And also this course is very organized. So if you are interested to learn CSS from the very beginning, then you can enroll this course on Udemy. I will provide the link at the description. So let's back to the code editor. So finally I am in my Visual Studio Code editor, and as you can see I already create index.html file, style.css file and script.js file, and I link all this file with this HTML document. Now at first inside the body tag, here I'm going to take a container. I'm going to take a div container. So I'm going to type div.container. Div.container, inside this container div element, I'm going to create another div element for toggle. So I'm going to type div.toggle. It is for the toggle button. Then inside this toggle button, I want to add the toggle button icon. For that, we are going to use this website, ionic.io/learn-icons. We are going to get all the icons from this website. To get the icons, we need to click on usage. After click on usage, here we need to copy these 2 script tag. So I'm going to select both the script tag and I copy it, and I'm going to put it inside this body tag, but before the script.js file, and I'm going to save this file. And now we are able to use icons from the website. So let's add the toggle icon. For that I'm going back to the website and going to the icon section, and from here and from the search section I want to search for add icon. I'm going to use this icon, so I select this icon, and then after select this icon, from here we need to copy this code. So I copy this code and back to the Visual Studio Code editor, and inside this toggle div I'm going to put this icon. Just I'm going to paste this icon code and I'm going to set this file. And then below the toggle I want to add the menu. For that I'm going to use ul tag, ul. Then inside this ul tag I'm going to take li tag, and also I'm going to assign variable, CSS variable to this li tag. So I'm going to type style attribute style, and here to type dash I, our variable name is I, and here I'm going to assign value. So I'm going to use colon, and here I'm going to assign value 1. So this variable I equal to 1. Also I'm going to assign a class to this ul tag, class, and the class name is menu. Then inside this list item I'm going to add an anchor tag a, and then inside this anchor tag I'm going to add the icon. First I want to add the home icon, so I'm going back to the browser, and from here I'm going to search for home, and I'm going to use this icon. So I copy the code and I'm going to put the code inside this anchor tag. That's it, and I'm going to set this file. Now after set this file, if I back to my browser and show you the web page, here you can see the toggle button and the home icon. So I'm going to fast forward this process and I'm going to add the all icons one after another. So I fast forward this process, and one after another I add all the icons such as camera outline, person outline, aeroplane outline, mail outline, key outline, etc. So after set this file, if I back to my browser, this is how it's look like. Now we need to start the styling part. For that, let's jump into the Visual Studio Code and jump into the styling section, the style page, style.css. At first, here I'm going to import a font. I'm going to use pop-in fonts for this project, so I'm going to import a font pop-ins from Google. After that, I'm going to use universal selector star. Then inside the curly braces, first I'm going to define margin 0 from all of the direction. Also, I'm going to use padding. Padding also I'm going to assign 0 for all of the direction. Basically, it's going to remove the margin and padding. Then box sizing, border box. After that, I'm going to define the font family. So inside the single quotes, I'm going to type Poppins, and it's come from sans serif font family. Sans serif, and I'm going to save this file. After save this file, I'm going to open my browser and the code editor side by side. Now, as you can see here, I open my browser and code editor side by side. After that, we need to remove the list items. Next, I'm going to style the list items. So I'm going to type li tag. I'm going to set the li tag, and from here I'm going to remove list style. So I'm going to type list style, and I'm going to pass none width. After that, here I'm going to select the anchor tag using A, and inside the curly braces, I want to remove the underlines. So I'm going to use text decoration. I'm going to make it none. Then I'm going to style the body tag. So I'm going to select body. Then inside the body tag, inside the curly braces, at first I'm going to define minimum height. So I'm type minimum height 100 VH. Then I'm going to use display property because we need to align the content in the center of this page. So I'm going to type display, and I'm going to make it flex. After that, justify content center. Also align items center. With that, I'm going to add an gradient background. So I'm going to type background color, and here I want to use linear gradient color. Linear gradient, then inside the curly braces, I'm going to pass the linear gradient value. And for this gradient color, I'm going to use this value, 45 degree. I want to rotate this gradient at 45 degree angle, then I use this color variants, light purple and red color. And I'm going to save this file. After save this file, it's not working because here we need to use only background, not the color. Now, if I save this file, as you can see, now it's working. It aligned all the item middle of this page, vertically and horizontally. Also, it changed the background color. Next, we need to target the container. We need to style this container. Let me show you this container element. For that, I'm going to copy its class name and back to the style.css file. And here, I'm going to select the container div element, and inside the curly braces, first I'm going to define width, and I'm going to pass 270 pixel. Also height 270 pixel. It's a square box. After that, I'm going to use display property, display, and I'm going to make it flex. Justify content center. Align item also center. After that, also I'm going to define the position, and I'm going to make position, I'm going to make it relative, and I'm going to save this file. After save this file, you can see the result. And to understand the area, how much area we use for this container, you can use background color for now. Let me show you. So I'm going to use background, and you can use any color. I'm going to use red color, RED. and I'm going to save this file. After save this file, now you can notice the area. It is for temporary purpose. At first we create a square box, then we make it display flex to align the toggle icon middle of this container. Now let's style this toggle button. So we need to style this toggle button using its class name. So I'm going to copy the class name and back to style.css file, and here I'm going to select the toggle button using its class name. Then inside the curly braces, at first I'm going to assign width, and for this button I'm going to use 70 pixel. Then I'm going to assign height also 70 pixel. After that I'm going to define background color. I'm going to go with white color. Also the next property I'm going to use border radius. I'm going to make it 50%. After that I'm going to define color, and here I'm going to use color dark gray, #222. Here we use color property because icons are literally fonts. After that I'm going to use display property. I'm going to make it flex, justify content center, align item also center. Then I'm going to define the font size. I'm going to make it 30 pixel. I think 30 pixel is enough for it. If I save this file, this is how it's look like. It's look good. Then I want to make cursor pointer when I hover my cursor on this element. So I'm going to take cursor, I'm going to make it pointer. Also I'm going to provide this z index value, z index 20. Then I'm going to use transition property also, transition, and I'm going to provide transition duration 0.3 second, and I'm going to save this file. After save this file, this is how our button look like. And if I hover my cursor on it, now you can see our cursor become pointer. So that's the first part of this tutorial. At the next part of this tutorial we are going to start JavaScript, and also we are going to work on this toggle button. When I click on this toggle button, I want to make it X sign, the cross sign. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next part. Welcome back guys, this is the second part of this tutorial, and first we are going to work on this click effect. When I click on this toggle button, I want to rotate this toggle button at x-axis. I want it to rotate the toggle button and make the plus sign to X sign. So whenever I click on this button, I want to add a class to this container div, and then we style the toggle button based on the class. For that we need to go and jump into the JavaScript file, and we need to select the container div. So inside this JavaScript page, I'm going to declare a variable let, and our variable name is container. Let container equal to document dot get query selector, and inside the round braces, inside the single quotes, I'm going to select the container, and semicolon to end this line. Then I duplicate this line, and this time I'm going to select the toggle button. So I'm going to replace container with toggle. Now after select the container div, we need to target the toggle div using its class name. For that I'm going to copy its class name toggle, and I'm going to type dot toggle, and I'm going to set this file. After that, here we need to run an add event listener, and now I want to run an event in our toggle. For that, here I'm going to type toggle dot add event listener. Inside the round braces, here I'm going to use click event. Click. Then after comma, here we need to call the function. So I'm going to type round braces and the arrow function. And then inside the curly braces, here I'm going to type container dot class list dot toggle, container dot class list dot toggle inside the round braces, I want to add a class named active and semicolon to end this line, and I want to save this file. So that much of JavaScript we are going to use in this project. Basically, it's going to add a class when I click on this button, click on this toggle button. Let me show you. So if I inspect this element, inspect, and now you can see in our body section elements, if I increase the area, now you can see in our body section, this is our container class. If I click on this toggle button, now you can see it add the active class in our container div element. And if I click it again, now it remove the active class from it. So once we click it, going to add the class, and again we click it, then it's going to remove the class. So according to the class, we are going to style our elements. So let's back to the code. So let's back to the CSS and select the container div element. First, I'm going to target the container div element, some type dot container, and when it has the class of active, some type dot active, then I want to select the toggle div element, so type dot toggle. Then inside this curly braces, we need to rotate the button. For that, I'm going to type transform property, transform, and I'm going to rotate it. Rotate, and I want to rotate it up to 45 degree. I think 45 degree is good for it. 45 deg, and I'm going to save this file. Now to save this file, if I click on this button, now you can see it rotate the button, and it turned the plus sign into cross sign because I rotated it up to 45 degree. And if I click it again is back to the plus sign. When I click on it, it turned X sign, and when I click it again, then it back to the plus sign. So keep going and work on the UL tag. And as you can see, the UL tag have a class named menu. So copy its class name and back to the style.css file. From here, I want to select dot container, and from the container, I want to target the min. Then inside the curly braces, at first here I'm going to use the property called position. Position, I'm going to make it absolute. After that, I am going to place it from the top, I'm going to place it 0. Then from the left, I'm going to place it 0 again. Basically, I want to start all the items from that corner. And also I'm going to define width and height. Width, I'm going to use width 100%. Height, also 100%. And I'm going to save this file. After save this file, this is where we place the menu items. After that, we need to select the li tags, which is inside the menu tag. Some type dot menu space li. Then inside the curly braces, first property I'm going to use position. Position, here I'm going to use position absolute. Then from the top I want to place it at 0. And from the left, I want to place it at 0 again. After that, I'm going to define width and height. Width, I'm going to use 100% width. Height, I'm going to use 100% height. And the next property, I'm going to use pointer event. Pointer events, and I'm going to make it none. And if I save this file, and now you can see all the list items are positioned at the top left corner. And then I'm going to target the anchor tag, which is inside the li tag. For that, again I'm going to type dot menu space li list item, and I'm going to target all the anchor tag A. And inside the curly braces, the first property I'm going to use width. Width 55 pixel. Height 55 pixel. Then I'm going to use color, and I want to use dark gray color, so I'm going to type hashtag 222. Then I'm going to define background, and for background I'm going to use white color, so I'm going to type hashtag FFF. Also, I'm going to define border radius. I'm going to use border radius 50%. Next, I'm going to define font size. Font size, and I want to use font size 22 pixel. After that, I'm going to use display property. Display, I'm going to make it flex. Justify content center. Align items also center. Next, I'm going to use another property called position. Position, and I'm going to make it absolute. Here we use absolute position because we need to position the links below the toggle button. That's why we use absolute position. Also, we need to place it on to pass from the top. I'm going to pass 50% value, 50%, and from the left also 50%. And I'm going to save this file. After save this file, this is where we place the elements. And to place the menu items exact behind the toggle button, we need to use transform property. So here I'm going to type transform, translate inside the round braces. Here, inside the round braces here, from x-axis I'm going to pass minus 50%, comma from the y-axis also going to pass minus 50%. Now after set this file, as you can see, we successfully place the list items behind the toggle button. Now it hidden behind the toggle button. Also, I'm going to add pointer events, and I'm going to make it visible again, and I'm going to set this file. Then I'm going to add transition, and I'm going to type 0.3 second, and I'm going to set this file. Now, whenever we clicking on this toggle button, I want the button appear again. Now, for that, we need to target all the li tag when they have the active class. For that, I'm going to type .container.active. Container.active space, I want to target the menu. From the menu, I want to target all the li tag, and from the li tag, I want to target the anchor tag egg. Then inside the curly braces, here I'm going to use top property, and I want to place it at 0. Now, if I save this file and clicking on this toggle button, you can notice it going to move all the menu items to the top position at that place. And if I click it again, then it going to move back and hide behind the toggle button. Now the only thing is left, we need to rotate the link around the toggle button. For that, we need to jump into the list items, menu list items here, and we need to use a property called transform, and here I'm going to use rotate value, and since we have total 6 list item, and as you know, we have total 6 list item, so we need to use calc function to calculate the rotation. So here I'm going to use calc, and inside the round braces, I'm going to divide 360 DEG by 6, because we have total 6 list items. And here I'm going to multiply with var variable inside the round braces -i. So the first li tag rotate by 360 degree divided by 6 times 1. It's mean it's going to rotate the first element 60 degree. Then it's going to rotate the second element 120 degree. Then it's going to rotate the third element 180 degree. Then it's going to rotate the fourth element 240 degree. Then 300 degree, and at last it's going to rotate the last element 360 degree. So if I save this file and click this toggle icon, you can see the result. So whenever we click on this toggle button, it spread the list item around the toggle button, and their places equally divided. But the problem is the icons are rotated, and now we need to reverse them. And to reverse them, first I'm going to copy this rotate value, and then jump into the anchor tag when we have active container. So here I'm going to use transform property, transform. First I'm going to use translate value, and here I'm going to use minus 50%. I am going to use negative value from x and minus 50% from y. and then I'm going to use the rotate value here. So I'm going to paste the rotate value, and we need to change the rotation angle. This time I'm going to use minus 360 degree, and I'm going to save this file. After save this file, basically we reverse this rotation, and now you can see when we're clicking the buttons, now the links are looking exactly the way we want. But at last we need to remove the red background from this container. So from here, from the container div element, I'm going to comment out this line, and I'm going to save this file again, and this is how our toggle menu looks like, and it's worked pretty fine. So I hope now it's clear for you how we can build this project. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next project.